We're at least dealing with known risks. They are.
Microbe needed minimal adjustment to account for heat leech anatomy.
And the Aciles seem like they're even better at tracking leeches than morphs.
Hell of a sight to watch, though, when they catch them. Like an open airlock guzzling angry spaghetti. Microbe is gonna make the cleanup a whole lot quicker. If we're concerned about this Lazarus plant getting deployed again, that's the way to go.
The cabinet can secure the Lazarus plant, and then we're not risking any surprises when it comes to dealing with a microbe.
You're being paranoid. You know the science. You know we can make this safe.
I do know the science. I also know math, and a 1 in a million chance of a mutation isn't 0. So I guess we're still in discussion. Probably best at this point to let the cabinet weigh in, see if they have a preference. And here we go.
Welcome back, all of you. I wish we were meeting under better circumstances. But according to Hadrian's report, and the second one I just received, it seems the Terramorph attack on New Atlantis was no random occurrence, but a planned strike. Is what I'm reading here true? This report comes from a particularly confidential source both you and I are familiar with, yes. Among the reasons its findings are so alarming. Now, is it true? Was the attack on New Atlantis planned?
My God.
An attack? Using terramorphs? How is that possible?
You will all receive a full briefing once we're done here. So then, is what the second report claims correct? Did Reginald Orles commit these attacks, Captain?
That appears to be the case, ma'am. The captain tracked that information down just after our trip to Londinian.
Reginald Orles? Wasn't there a report he'd been killed recently?
Body was found floating around Etheria. Report mentioned you were sent to try and bring him in, Captain. I guess that didn't go according to plan.
Ah, yes. I was told about your mission and who ordered it. Did you two suspect at the time Orles might have been involved in the attacks? Only that it would have been preferable if you'd managed to find him before he murdered UC citizens. Now, are you going to answer the question for me or not? Did you already suspect Orles? Well, it appears you were ahead of the curve. This report contains definitive evidence Orles triggered the attacks via this Lazarus plant the captain and Major Sanan uncovered.
Simply harrowing.
Indeed. Though it would have been preferable for him to have finally faced the UC's justice, it seems both of you are to be commended for ensuring he was dealt with before he could strike again. You have our thanks. Now, with our villain unmasked, we can attend to the other matters at hand. With the threads you've brought together here, the Lazarus plant, the attacks, the heat leeches, the three of you have likely spared thousands of lives. But it now falls to the cabinet to ensure this can never happen again. As such, the cabinet will be securing the Lazarus plant on Londinian, All materials related to the plant will be classified to ensure no one else learns its true nature.
A sound decision, Madam President.
Well, luckily the natural hostility of Londinian makes keeping out trespassers relatively easy. But we'll ensure its growth is contained, that access to the plant is only permitted via highly regulated clearances, and that our troop presence on Londinian is increased. We're already discussing the elimination of one species, Captain. Explain to me why you wish to eliminate another.
They are ultimately threatened as much as the United Colonies. To share what you know and what can be done to make us all safer can only foster good relations.
That is an idea with some merit to it. Decrease the likelihood of anything like this occurring again, and further relations between our two factions.
Two birds with a single stone. Very well. We'll include the collective in the removal process. Thank you for the suggestion, Captain. So then, to our final topic. The Cabinet has agreed to implement a plan that will deal with the Terramorph, and now also Heat Leech presence on human worlds. In fact, we've already begun enacting measures to check all UC ports and settlements for undiscovered nests. But we all understand this is only a partial solution. The project we're embarking on will be a long and difficult one. So our first step must be deciding how exactly this all will be handled.
Madam President, this microbe is clearly too much of a risk. The Aseles are the safer approach.
To someone with limited knowledge of biology, perhaps. The technology behind the microbe is solved science, Madam President. It isn't dangerous. Using it to wipe out the Terramorphs would be the quickest path to protecting humanity.
And fast results always lead to the best outcomes, don't they?
As you can see, there remains debate among the Cabinet. We were hoping your group might issue a recommendation. Major?
We've been having similar debates ourselves, but the captain has yet to weigh in.
I see. Captain, I know this may not be your area of expertise, but we'd like to know your take on the matter. Please, ask.
I can field this one. While intimidating creatures, certainly, Aseles are docile and less provoked. They're honestly closer to oversized mobile scanners than deadly predators. The concern is that, while all proposed methods will be long-term efforts, the Aseles are the slowest. Slow to breed, slow to deploy. We do everything we could to accelerate that process, including mustering some of our mothballed cloning technologies. But if we do elect to use this method, we'll be doing things at the pace of a megafauna, which is not an expedient one. Infinitesimally low.
But not zero.
The chance of a starship landing on you as you sit here isn't zero, yet you still attended. Personally, my fear isn't mutation, but Terramorphs developing a resistance. But that's something our group can continue to address if we decide to take this approach, as I believe we should.
This won't work without them.
Exactly right, ma'am. The Interstellar Affairs Office has already begun reaching out to worlds throughout the settled systems, informing them of the risks we're all facing, and that the UC has a plan to prevent what happened on New Atlantis from happening elsewhere. Thus far, the response has been, on the whole, positive. Fear of sudden attacks has proven a strong motivating factor, and we expect to encounter some intransigence, but Our office has plenty of carrots and sticks to ensure the program's widespread adoption.
The responsibilities will be spread across multiple branches of the UC. Research and day-to-day administration will be handled by a new group under the Science Division. All diplomatic concerns and coordination will fall to Chief Yassine and Interstellar Affairs. But most of the actual on-the-ground work, that'll be handled by the Vanguard. Very well. Then did you have a preference on the method we should deploy? I believe we have a responsibility to do something, yes. Heavens forbid, years from now someone reopens the Pandora's box that Orlay's discovered. It falls to us to enact every measure required to ensure that day never comes.
I'm in full agreement. No need be delving into unpredictable sciences.
The first step in a bold new future.
Bolder, better, and brighter. Well, I need to write that one down for later.
Order, please. And Major Sinan? Dr. Walker, you'd find this acceptable?
We trust the captain's judgment.
Then the matter is settled. We'll begin the process immediately. Today marks day one for the United Colonies Terramorph Management Division, making you three the founding members of the TMD. As befits such a group, the Cabinet wanted to display its gratitude. Today, we will be adding 3 new Class 1 citizens to our ranks.
Class 1? For the 3 of us? Are you joking?
What he means to say is, thank you, ma'am.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
It's a status reserved only for those who've dedicated their lives to the United Colonies, or done great things for its cause. Class 1s enjoy an ample credit disbursement, an additional reduction on the cost of colonial goods. And I'm told the penthouse is rather impressive. You all have earned it. Now, there's much to be done. Major Sinan, Dr. Walker, I hope you two are willing to continue your efforts spearheading the TMD's research on Mars.
We'd be honored, ma'am.
And as a member of both the Vanguard and the TMD, I believe you, Captain, will have your pick of duties. Speak to your commander, Tuala, if I recall correctly. He should be able to provide you with assignments going forward, plus help you collect the benefits that come with being named Class 1. On behalf of the whole of the United Colonies, you have our sincerest gratitude. This meeting is adjourned.
Captain, I guess we've got our assignments. I just wanted to say, I could have never guessed where all this was going to lead. But what you've done for Percival, for me, for everyone, well, there aren't words to express how grateful I am. You know I can't do that. I've got an assignment. But I wouldn't be upset if you came by the HQ every now and then. Remind me how much I owe you. Well, I think it's safe to say you succeeded beyond anyone's wildest dreams. It's been an honor, Captain. Good luck out there.
Well, I've got to say, this is a first. I've never had a Class 1 citizen in my ranks before. Congratulations, Captain. It's a high honor. Have to do something big for the colonies to earn that sort of designation. Only ever met a couple myself, and certainly never given one orders. You should be real proud. No need to thank me. You brought this all on yourself. I've already gone ahead and processed your Class 1 benefits. All UC goods and services should now have a thanks for protecting the colonies discount. And the credits should be in your account now. But to get into your penthouse, you'll have to pay a visit to the Aphelion Realty office. They should be able to grant you access. Just out the front door and across the plaza, by the embassies. Look for the Aphelion sign. Higher-ups wanted to make sure you know how much they appreciate what you've done. But with all that squared, it's time to get you a new assignment. There are your standard Vanguard missions, putting those pilot skills to use defending UC space. Or you could help the TMD in cleaning up terramorphs. Oh, and I got a request from Dr. Walker. Wanted your help collecting biological samples to keep an eye out for any, new alien threats on the horizon. Any of those missions call to you? Suppose that's true. Well, we can remedy that right now. Just getting those coordinates to you now. Report says ships at these coordinates fired on United Colonies craft. You're cleared to use lethal force if necessary. Documentation suggests Ecliptic might be involved in the attack, so I'd take extra precautions. Good hunting, Captain. Those vessels are about to learn what it means to get on the UC's bad side. Or did you not come for a pep talk?
Yes?
You've got our permission to take care of them.
bear's market right now. Good time to make a move.
Well, well, if it isn't the United Colony's newest Class 1 citizen. You've made quite a name for yourself in New Atlantis. In fact, the higher-ups want to thank you for your dedicated service by giving you one of the nicest pieces of real estate in the city. It's a premium penthouse at the top of Mercury Tower. Best location in New Atlantis, in my professional opinion.
What do you say? It'll just take a second to get you registered as the owner.
Great! You're in for a real treat. It's one of my favorite apartments in the city. Okay, you're all set. Your new home's located in Mercury Tower in the residential district. You'll love the place. It has a gorgeous floor plan and an unbeatable view of the city. Now that you're an owner, I'm sure I'll be seeing you around town.
Keep it moving.
Definitely better than the last interception.
Something to report?
Oh, don't I wish. Between UC regulations and demand here in the city, I haven't had a chance to branch out yet. But you best believe I'm keeping an eye on the situation and actively lobbying for a little more leeway. Let's see what we have available. Right now, I've got a little place in the well that's up for grabs. Needs some work, and the location is less than ideal, but it's a foot in the door, so to speak. Sound like something you're interested in? No pressure here. You come see me if you change your mind. Enjoy your time in New Atlantis.
Informed us of your new status. Congratulations on making... Last one.
Authorized personnel only. Your friend has the name.
What's this? Just you then? No UC executioner. So the cabinet knows the truth about Orlais. Splendid. That means you and I can get to work. I'll tell you why. Because the UC was, and is, full of people unwilling to pay the price required for victory. In the last days of the war, the UC was on the precipice of executing a final great assault on the Freestar Collective home system of Cheyenne. A massive strike, capable of obliterating Freestar Central Command and ending the conflict at long last. A thought I'd had myself, but such invasions are costly, in resources and lives. Others in the UC believed the blockade would be sufficient to bring the Freestar Collective to its knees. But they were wrong. So instead, they sacrificed far more lives in a protracted war, rather than doing the right thing from the start, and demolishing the Freestar capital when they have the chance. You'd be right. Everything was in place. But just before we could launch the strike, word came from Londinian. The Terramorph outbreak had begun. I went to the city to assess the state of things, and discovered the Lazarus plan. We couldn't spare ships for a proper quarantine, so it was my decision to destroy the spaceport and seal off the city. Deal with it quickly, so we could get back to winning the war. I had a single ship. What would you have had me do? Ask them and the Terramorphs to form a line, and the UC fleet was spread thin already. No, I touched down, assessed the situation, made a decision, and returned to the task at hand. You joke, but the scale we were working, that's precisely what it was. A distraction. And I dealt with it as such. Quickly. Definitively. The only reasonable solution. So upon my return from Londinian, we proceeded with our killing blow. Initially, we had great success against the mess the Freestar Collective called a Navy. But then the Freestar citizenry decided to get involved. Dozens of civilian ships jumping in to shield their military counterparts. I, of course, had no trouble firing on what should have been designated enemy vessels. But my peers had lost the stomach for it. So many lives lost already, they wailed. So the great UC Navy was routed by a mob. They picked our ships apart. The UC surrendered not long after. And thus rang the death knell for the great UC. It's human nature to see patterns, even when there are none. What ended the colony war was cowardice, nothing less. We were in the middle of an all-out war, Captain. Committing ships to save the city would have left another undefended. Which city would you prefer I'd sacrificed? Sidonia? Gagarin? New Atlantis? And if anyone else had learned about the Lazarus plant, well, the risk was too great. I weighed the options and made the call. Once we'd cracked synthesizing the Lazarus plant's pollen, research that took years in and of itself, the attacks were exceedingly simple. Orlaze's ship would land on our target, bearing a few heat leeches. Nothing that would raise suspicion. Then Lazarus pollen was pumped out of the ship during liftoff from the planet's surface. Shortly thereafter, an attack. A strike perpetrated in mere moments, with no one being the wiser. Well, thanks to our combined efforts, the Sanan name has more clout with the cabinet than it has in years. I hope to build on that. I have a long list of names civilized society would be better without. I just need someone to help me remove them from the picture. Should we begin the hunt? Or did you have questions? Just what I was hoping to hear. There's a slate waiting for you in the transfer system. Those are the details for our first, person of interest. Find them, eliminate them, and make the galaxy a better place for it. Though I would expect some resistance when trying to approach the target. Deal with any you encounter as you see fit.
Authorized personnel only. Your friend has to stay here.
Yes? You needed something?
Always.
If you are free soon, could we talk?
I'm sorry. Heat leeches can turn into what?
Terramorphs. Giant carapace-encrusted tanks. Hence the new scanning protocols. On our watch, no heat leech enters this city.
Hey, what can I do for you?
Understood.
And here's your new captain. My crew can take a look at your ship. And you can stop by the Trade Authority kiosk if you need to offload some cargo. I'm sure you can find something you like. Everything looks good here. I'll be at my booth if you need me.
It is a relief to know that the Terramorphs are being dealt with. But are you sure this Acilis creature is the right way to do it? This would be the same nature that gave us Terramorphs in the first place. I do not think this is the path I would have chosen. One could easily argue that humans are the superior hunter and therefore are right to exterminate these creatures. The microbes would have put fewer people at risk in the long run. I suppose we shall. Not that it matters, since the decision was made. I will say, though, that I am glad you convinced them to destroy the Lazarus plant. Terramorphs are enough of a worry on their own. The idea that they could appear anywhere, at any time. Ugh. Well, it is good to know that this particular threat is behind us, and you have done a service to all who live in the settled systems. Ah, hello. Indeed I do. All yours. Yes, of course. Ah, yes, we are done.
Hi. Please disregard. I attempted an informal greeting, but I...
Any adventure you can fly away from. Is that how the saying goes?
Time to leave this place behind.
Recalculating.
You are entering United Colony space.
And
Please maintain
orbit
course and clear to be
stabilizing.
scanned.
Perfect.
Scan complete. You are cleared to land at New Atlantis.
Ship is now docked. Perfect. Didn't even smudge the thing.
Good day, Captain.
Now that those artifacts aren't just blips of hope in the blackest sea, I found an interesting pattern. The grav anomaly generated by one of those artifacts, it matches one on another planet. A bigger one. Alright, let me transfer over the data. But I need you wearing caution's boots for this one. No telling what this thing is or why it's so large. Going to send you the mark close as I can, but I'm having trouble pinpointing the source. You'll need to explore the area on foot. Put your scanner to work. Don't know what you'll find. Keep your eyes open. And from there, maybe you catch a smile and uncover the source of it all.
Yes?